In the world of luxury watches, the most prominent brands are known to have a continuous strive to be inch perfect. From being the most technologically advanced to creating the most accurate, visually stunning timepieces to have fans drooling, these brands separate from the rest. The watch industry has been blessed with a lot of giant watchmakers, and while Grand Seiko can be criminally underrated, they're certainly one of the greats. However, some believe that they're the best watchmakers out there. Some even go ahead to say they're far better than a Rolex. Could they be bang right or just out of their minds? Find out in today's video. Let's start with a brand that requires no introduction, Rolex. When you think of luxury watches, chances are your mind goes straight to Rolex, and the amazing thing is, you're not the only one. For the longest time, the brand has been the go-to choice for the affluent. But here's something we find interesting. Do you know that there are certainly more affordable luxury timepieces out there that are just as accurate, visually stunning, and durable? Sometimes even more than what Rolex offers. Rolex is an expert in the game, but they know what to do to make people keep coming back. But how, though? How exactly does Rolex continue to stay on top of the Swiss mechanical watch game? Rolex is a recognizable status symbol. In the watch world, it's probably even the most recognized one. It cuts across geography, sports, and culture. It's really hard to watch a tennis match, a racing circuit on Formula One, or even a golf tournament without seeing the proud Rolex crown pasted all over it. Musicians, actors, and even royals find it hard not to have a Rolex in their collections. So what makes Rolex better than so many other luxury brands? For starters, buying a Rolex watch is almost guaranteed to hold its value rather than decrease. Because of this, many people buy a Rolex watch for investment purposes. Imagine having a functional, amazing-looking watch that after so many years may even increase in value if you choose to sell it off. Plus, thanks to its sturdy build, everyone knows Rolex watches are built to last. They're incredibly high quality and the longevity is also amazing. If one piece is kept properly, it can keep time for decades. As well as lasting forever, Rolex timepieces are also beautifully crafted for easy use and recognition. Every element of a Rolex timepiece is carefully considered as part of the overall functionality of the watch. For example, the round-shaped case improves water resistance and legibility. The distinctive oyster bracelet also makes it distinguishable and can thus be spotted from paces away by even amateur enthusiasts. Don't even get us started about the sweep second hands and amazing bezel. All of this work in cohesion to make Rolex superior to a lot of other brands. The brand carefully adds incremental changes just for the sake of improving the piece's functionality. You know what they say, if it's not broken, don't fix it. Do you remember what we said about Rolex as a status symbol? Having a Rolex timepiece on your wrist is a subtle way of telling the world you have cash, lots of it. Is there anyone that doesn't know that? Just have a careful glance at your favorite celebrity, specifically their luxury life. You notice they take no time to show off their luxury collection, and there's a high chance a Rolex will be there. While some people buy a Rolex for its high quality, amazing build, and functionalities, a significant number of people buy Rolex watches for the sake of owning one. To them, having a Rolex watch is a symbol of status and class. The extra qualities are just bonuses. With all of that out of the way, let's talk about Grand Seiko. What we find most attractive about this brand is its rich heritage. For centuries, the Swiss watch industry was recognized for being the best and perfect. But ever since Seiko was founded, they've incessantly tried not only to match up to Swiss watches, but also to perform better. Enter Grand Seiko, and things are up a notch. Over the years, Grand Seiko has designed clocks that are not only insanely accurate, but also have a master touch in finishing. Before we get into what makes Grand Seiko so special, let's settle a common misconception first. You see, a lot of people think Seiko and Grand Seiko are the same, but that's false. On one hand, Seiko focuses on affordable watches for a wide audience, but on the other, we have Grand Seiko, whose main focus is to go toe-to-toe with the likes of Omega, Breitling, and Rolex. Because of that, they've gained more appraisal and recognition from watch fans everywhere. So what makes Grand Seiko so special? For starters, they combine the finest in watchmaking in terms of technology, design, and finishing. Want to know the amazing part? They've been doing it for 60 years, so it's safe to say they're now masters of the craft. Speaking of finishing, we have our second point. Here, Grand Seiko operates on an amazing level. The Zaratsu polishing of the brand, a mirror polishing technique, is a unique feature done by hand and requires an incredible amount of skill. So back to the big question, is Grand Seiko better than Rolex? While both brands offer amazing watches, a lot of collectors consider Grand Seiko watches to be superior to Rolex. It's not as easy as saying yes or no, but there are a couple of metrics we have to look at. For starters, there's no denying that Rolex has more iconic watches in its catalogue. So if that's what you're looking for in a brand, Rolex has it beat. But here's the fun part. If you study more about Grand Seiko's history, you'll discover a wealth of information on their great designs, many of which have become famous in their own right. To add to that, do you know Grand Seiko offers better crafted watches that have better movements? As for the finishing on Grand Seiko watches, it is so good that it is generally considered to be the best in the industry and better than their Rolex counterparts. However, if it's the question of which brand makes the overall best quality build, both brands are equally matched. They can easily last you a lifetime. Now, what about the appeal of both brands? Simply said, Rolex is the undisputed champion. The appeal is so good that in that aspect, they're the #1 luxury watch brand in the world. If you buy a Rolex, you're buying a piece of true luxury. However, for Grand Seiko, things are a bit different. The brand doesn't have such an appeal. They may rival Rolex in terms of specs and sometimes even perform better, but in terms of appeal, they're more of a brand that creates exquisite watches. To them, life isn't all about the world of luxury, but rather it's all about creating the best watches in the world. In layman's terms, when you put on a Grand Seiko watch on your wrist, you wouldn't get the buzz or unspoken respect, you'd get the best in craftsmanship and all the benefits that come with it. If that's what you're looking for, why haven't you snatched up a Grand Seiko? Speaking of snatching up a Grand Seiko to add to your collection, let's talk about the feasibility. It's quite challenging for Rolex for a variety of reasons. Just try and walk into a shop of any authorised Rolex dealer. You'd see a lot of Oyster Perpetual, Date Justs, Day Dates, and perhaps even a Milgauss. You'd probably even see fresh batches of Rolex Sky Dwellers, or even Yacht Masters, all up in different sizes and colours. But what about the steel sports watches? The ones that everyone can't seem to get enough of? We mean the Daytonas, Sea Dwellers, Submariners, GMT Masters, Explorer 1s and Explorer 2s. For those, good luck finding one. The ratio of supply to demand is so bad. Due to the appeal Rolex has, everyone wants one. But can it go around for everyone? What we find stunning is that even if the watches end up making it to the authorised dealers, there's another big wall. We mean the age-old foe, waiting lists. For those who aren't too aware, a Rolex waitlist is an arbitrary order in which clients are ranked to receive new Rolex timepieces as they come into the store. But how about Grand Seiko watches? Things are unbelievably easier. If you are a hardcore fan of Rolex and you've never had a Grand Seiko in your collection, why don't you walk into a Grand Seiko authorized dealer's shop and see it for yourself? Things are so snappy. So, what can we learn from all this? Although Grand Seiko lacks the charisma of the well-known Swiss brands, they represent the cream of the watch industry engineering. In terms of what brand makes better watches, Grand Seiko is just as good as Rolex, and sometimes even better. But if you're the kind of person that loves intrinsic value and showing off luxury and class, not only do Rolex timepieces outperform Grand Seiko, they blow the competition away. It all depends on your choice and which you value most, between the endorsement of having a hyped brand like Rolex on your wrists or a lesser-known watch with superb engineering on your wrist at a cost that shows you enjoy what a watch offers rather than the name behind it.